watching CNN and these other outlets fall apart is good because they're narrative machines. But one of the most important things that's often overlooked by the right, conservatives, libertarians, or whatever, is creating culture that inspires young people. So right now with you here, we have a lot of people chatting how they're huge fans of the Misfits, but you're also here challenging the establishment. I'm curious your thoughts on how do we create an anti-establishment cultural apparatus? And more importantly, how is it that so many anti-establishment musicians just flipped and went full pro-war, pro-lockdown? That blew my mind. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, I think that, and it's not just because I'm here, I think that you and your team, and everybody here, is the perfect example of what needs to be built for this parallel economy, or these parallel structures that will push, that will build what needs to be built. Not only do you do this sort of thing and have conversations about all of this, but you're creating shows and music and entertainment, all these different things. And intention has a lot to do with that. Your energy and where your perspectives and your friends and your colleagues, where they're coming from. They're coming from a good place, and so that resonates. So I think that's a good thing when we see these CNN or MSNBC, when we see the viewership going down and these companies starting to shrink in size. That's a good thing, because we can fill that vacuum, or we need to fill that vacuum with these things that we're building.
Well, so one of the reasons we here at Timcast.com, become a member, are focusing on cultural investments. Like Pop Culture Crisis is a show very similar to this format, hosted by Brett Dasovic and Mary Morgan, but it's pop culture, because we were like, not everybody likes politics. We want to create a show where we can build influence in other areas. Tales from the Inverted World is Hunter S. Thompson meets the X-Files. And of course, we're doing music. We've got some skateboarding and rollerblading and scooting plans. We're doing this, though, mostly because I'm looking at, like some of the bands that I grew up listening to that were basically saying F the machine are now saying yay the machine.
Yes.
Like, right. How did that happen?
Well, I think a lot of that comes with ignorance. I think a lot of that also comes with people like us, and I hate saying that, but people that it takes a certain person to say, maybe I'm wrong. Like, I'm going to take this position about whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me go see if I'm wrong, and then spend time finding out if you're wrong and recalibrating your position if it needs to be. Because doing that, you gain knowledge. You're able to articulate your position. You know what you know and why you know it, and not just, because Gender Queer Book told me that, and so therefore that's the way that I feel. But in order to do that, I think that there's certain morals and integrity that needs to be built into someone, and that goes into a whole conversation about parenting and everything. But with the musicians in the entertainment industry, a lot of it certainly is ignorance. But also, I think that there's some people that perhaps they might. Well, I know that there's some people out there that know what the truth is and know what is kind of going on. But there's fear and there's selfishness involved in it, because they don't want to lose anything. They don't want to lose their contract. They don't want people saying bad things about them on their Facebook. Oh, God forbid they lose their Facebook. What would they do? Oh my God. And so they just go along to get along. Regardless of what their heart is saying. The believers believe, when you have the Holy Spirit inside you and you have that discernment, that at some point, if you just keep rejecting that, your heart hardens, and then you don't hear that anymore. And so you're able to just go full on to, any port you want. And so there's a lot of that in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of that in the music industry, because everybody wants to be popular and loved and be that person and have the lights on them. That's what it's about, and will take any route they need to get there and hold on to it. Same thing in politicians. It's
no leaders.
It's power. You want that power. It's difficult to take a position and find yourself completely alone, or to feel alone. And
if these bands shout out to The Offspring for firing their drummer because he was unable to get vaccinated due to a medical condition. If bands like that stood up and said, sorry guys, all of our shows are being canceled, to all of our fans who spent all of this money, we are unfortunately unable to do the show because the venues won't allow our drummer in. What do you think would happen when 5 million ticket holders call Ticketmaster all at the same time? Ticketmaster is going to be like, why is our system breaking down? They're going to contact the venues and be like, what are you doing? Why are these shows getting canceled? And they're going to say, well, we told The Offspring they weren't allowed to have their drummer in the building. What, we have a contract. Well, the government passed a law. Then everyone's going to start calling up the local governments. What are you doing? We got 5 million canceled. Contracts are falling apart. If one band just said, we will cancel every show, it would cause a chain reaction that would make it all the way to the point where large lobbyists and investors would be standing at the desk of the mayor of New York saying, I will destroy you politically unless you fix this problem. And they'll be like, okay, we'll rescind this. But no, the whiny, pathetic establishment losers, The Offspring, said, how about we just fire our drummer of 17 years? When our families have hung out together, screw them. I'd rather make money and fire him. These people are fucking pathetic. Okay, now I'm swearing.
You're right, though. I mean, at least that was a pathetic move. I don't want to judge their personalities because I don't know them, but I think it was a weak move, if anything.
They have so much power to control culture. I've said this about a lot of things.
I agree with you. I agree.
Patreon. They banned this guy, Robert Spencer. He's an Islamic scholar and he's controversial, I guess. I'm not sure. Not Richard Spencer, Robert Spencer, different guy. And the reason was, if we don't, MasterCard made us do it. If we didn't ban him, then we'd have to shut the whole site down. And I'm like, I dare you.
Yeah.
MasterCard, I dare you to have the 100 million plus subscriptions on the site disappear and have each and every one of those people calling you on the phone asking you why you did it. But no one has the balls to actually be like, I'll go for it. Let's see what happens.
There were some performers that would refuse to play. I think, did Dave Chappelle do that? Was he like, I'm not performing if you're going to have a vax mandate? Was he one of those guys? I know Chrissy Mayer wouldn't perform.
Look,
not
man,
that she's at Dave Chappelle's fame yet, but I mean,
I think Crowder and Rubin were explicit. I'm not sure. They said they moved venues. I think it was Rubin specifically was like, we won't do a show here and moved it. I'm not sure. Maybe it wasn't Rubin.
Yeah.
But look, I like Joe Rogan, but even he said, here's what we'll do. I'll give you a refund if you didn't know that they were doing these rules. And perhaps the argument is that there were contracts that locked Joe in. And if he canceled, it could have caused him major damage or something like that. But it's just like,
but I understand that there's a lot at stake when you take these positions. However, I agree with you that if like Offspring or some of these larger acts, I mean, I didn't play the Whiskey A Go-Go for that reason, because they had a vaccine mandate in the city at the time. And I said that I didn't want to play to a segregated audience, nor did I want someone to make a medical decision like that to come see me. That's crazy. And so I just said, I'm not going to do it. When things are different, I'll go back. And I did. I just played there a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
But I wish I had that power to, like the Offspring and some of these other bands, where if they just stood up and said, we already have so much.
I know.
And all of their fans would, not all of them, but a lot of the fans would get behind them, or at least say, well, what do you mean? And then you can have the larger conversation, and that would then put that pressure on the record companies, on the management companies, on the lawyers, and all of the system that is the industry that pushes back on these things.
Let me tell you. Let's go back to that earlier segment where I was making fun of Trudeau meeting his hero, and the Elon Musk thing where he almost cried when told about Neil Armstrong. The first album I ever bought was Americana by the Offspring. The first tab book I ever got was Americana by the Offspring. The second was Ixnay on the Hombre by the Offspring, followed by the tab book for Ixnay on the Hombre. And then, of course, there's Ignition. Then I said, wow, I better go back even further. I got their Smash was obvious, right?
So you're a fan.
Yeah, this was the first. This was the band that got me into music. This was the band that, at the time, all we had was pop. So whatever was on the radio was what it was. Didn't know anything. I didn't even know the names of these bands. And then my friend said, "Listen to this," and handed me an Americana CD, and I learned all the songs. And I still have on my playlist. I love all of their '90s stuff and some of their 2000 stuff, and I even like a lot of their later stuff. And then what a letdown for them to be at a point where I think Dexter sold the catalog for like 30 million or whatever, to be so rich, you want for nothing. And then to look into the eyes of someone who's been there for you for 17 years, their drummer, and say, get out. Because
Cold.
That's the dirtiest, most vile, inhuman.
It's cold, man.
And not only that, they could have actually just been like, bro, they're not going to let you in the building. I'm sorry, but don't worry. We will get someone to play with us, but we're not going to let you down. You're good. And we'll do studio stuff with you. And that's still, in my opinion, not the strongest thing they could have done.
No.
But I'd still be like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fans want a show. You don't want to let them down, but you're not going to leave someone hanging. Instead, they were just like, later, bro. And the crazy thing about this whole story is that Pete Parada's the drummer. He's awesome. He's done work with us. His doctor was like, I recommend against this because of the potential medical condition you have.
That's
and he goes, okay. And then they're like, get out.
Yeah.
It's dirt.
And
man.
if he
These
would have
people are
listened
awful.
to them, he could have got seriously hurt or could have died.
That's right.
But they still wanted to force him to do that, to stay in the band. That is cruel. That is absolutely evil. Jim Brewer, I think, did it the right way. Whenever people were discriminating against somebody, whenever a venue had a vax mandate and were segregating people based on government compliance, he said, no, I'm not going to be performing here. I'm only going to be performing at places that don't discriminate against bodily autonomy, against individuals deciding their own pathways, their own life. So shouts out to Jim Brewer. He was a real one. We should get him on the show. He does incredible work, and I love his work anyway.
He's a funny guy.
He's
You're
an
a leader,
incredible
man.
guy.
That guy's Jim. You are awesome.
Yeah, Jim's incredible.
I
Shout out to Jim, because as much as we criticize these horrible people, we got to shout out the good people and promote them and all the good stuff that they do as well.
Yeah, Brewer's tremendous. He's got a great heart. He's a family man. He's great and absolutely has taken the right path in all this and obviously has a hilarious perspective on it that he puts in his routines. But you would think certainly that somebody like Pete, you know, who played with these guys, came up with these guys. There's a brotherhood when you're on tour with somebody and, you know, you're in a band like that.
Maybe it was 14 years. I don't know. Was it 14 or 17? Maybe it was 14 years.
That's a long time.
Not a big difference.
It's a long
But I just
time.
wanna
And
be
it's not
precise.
just being on tour. It's not just the tour thing and playing in a band. Families and friends. It's your whole life. It's your whole friggin' world. And then all of a sudden it's just, well, see you later, dude.
Dude, you got to look up Pete Parada on the internet. The picture of his face. He's like, it's awesome looking. He's hitting it so hard. He's on the drums. I'm trying to figure out when he joined the Offspring.
Great
Officially
player.
joined Face to Face in '98, and then Offspring in 2007. So that'd be about 15 years ago. The guy's amazing.
2007? Yeah, 15. Okay, I was wrong. Yeah. I was thinking like, wait a minute, did I give him extra years? Maybe it was 14 or
Before
so.
that, he's with Saves the Day.
I couldn't believe that story when I heard it. Because like my attitude is, if something happened like that, and my response was, okay, well, we're going to keep, moving forward, I wouldn't terminate. Like if I had somebody who was working for me for 6 months, I wouldn't fire him. I'd be like, you're cool, dude. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's a scary thing. The people that you think have your back, and in the past couple of years, at least in my experience, and I've lost people in my life that walked away from me that I've known for decades, 20 years, people that I was very, very close to that, again, because of the pressure, because of, well, I might lose my Facebook and because, I don't know, you've gone crazy or, people that fell for the delusion, that believed the delusion and the lies, knowing me, like knowing who I am and knowing my heart, but then saying, yeah, no, well, we're going to go with this whole thing. And we're going to, that's scary. That's like when you hear stories about, when the Nazis rolled into some of the different cities where just overnight, the pogroms, these people, they went to school together, they were family, and then all of a, they're dragging each other into the streets and they're ripping their clothes off and they're beating them. That's where we're at. It's almost like we're practicing for it. And it's just, we're doing it online because essentially you're assassinating people. You're killing them. You're ripping their whole world away. Everything is gone. All the people that you love, your business, these things that you've worked for, gone, boop, gone. And we're doing that in that synthetic world that's built, and it's not very far from from the reality, the physical part of this.
Let me just let's multiply the concerns here, the fears here. We used to have brick and mortar stores. We still do, sort of. You drive down any main street in old cities. What do you see? Most of the stores are closed.
Yeah, it's true.
First there was Walmart. Now there's Amazon. It's all online. Yeah. So people start building their businesses on Twitter, Facebook, and Google. I knew a guy who would sell things on his web store, and all of his traffic came from Google. People would search for something, and he would be in the top 5. Google changed their algorithm one day. His search dropped to the second page. His business evaporated. Yeah. There's no second page. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Many people are building businesses on Twitter, Facebook, and Google, selling things, promoting things, being commentators. Oops, you got banned. Your business is erased. God. Imagine this. When we live in Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse fake reality that he desperately wants us to live in, and you create a store with a virtual environment that sells t-shirts and people can walk in and they can buy stuff and they can chat. And then Mark Zuckerberg walks in with a smile on his face and says, I'm deleting your store. Mm-hmm. And then you're gone. Mm-hmm. Everything you worked for ceases to exist like that. You have a brick and mortar store. It's a lot harder to do. You go into the metaverse with digital business, they can ban you outright. We launch a store. We sell t-shirts. We got a t-shirt pen. You can buy it if you want. The company that hosts it could just erase that store instantly. And then we're not selling any products. It is a nightmarish potential future unless we stay conscious of what's happening and fight for rules.
Where this crypto story comes in, right? We see the dollar coming apart, our economy coming apart. We see this, what's happening with FTX. And now that there's going to be the big push for the cryptocurrency regulations and everything, they got to get their hands in that, and cash isn't going to work. And we need these regulations, and we're going to attach that to the social credit score, and we're going to take away everything that's in this physical, all the brick and mortar, gone. So that then that ultimate control, you say something that is not part of the narrative, you say something that goes against, you're gone. Whoop, sorry. What are you going to do?
Two things.
You know how to grow corn?
No. Don't worry about it. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You will live in the pod and you will eat the bugs.
You will eat the bugs.
My favorite meme right now. Okay, well, I shouldn't say that, but like a meme I really like is the chicken that says, "I will live in the pod, I will eat the bugs, and I will give you eggs." That's a good one.
Oh my gosh.
Chickens are great.
You talking about female human eggs? Are they going to be harvesting people's eggs to reproduce in a laboratory? Yeah, right now you are, but I wonder the metaphor extends to the next 70 years.
Those goofy little things run around eating bugs, living in their little pod. And then Kim goes out there and she collects all their little butt bounties, crack them open, have breakfast, sprinkle a little black pepper on them. Can't be beat.
Yeah, I raised chickens too. Yeah.
How many chickens you got?
Well, we just had a weasel attack, so we're down. No. I raised ducks too, and a weasel got in there big time. So I lost upwards of 9 ducks and 3 chickens. So my flock is down.
What percent of your flock was that?
About 30%.
One weasel.
Bummer.
Yeah, it was actually 2. My wife saw 2.
A team of weasels.
A team of weasels. They were working together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny
you got to build
they call people
some
weasels.
kind of auto defense turret that can identify what a chicken looks like.
Yeah.
Using an AI, and it pans past the chickens and sees the weasel, and
it's crazy.
Oh, yeah,
it's crazy.
Airsoft.
It gets so frustrating sometimes. You just, at least not you, but me. I just say, let's just burn it all down. I just want to burn the whole barn down. It's incredible. Such a little creature can cause so much damage.
Yep. Yeah, we had a snake get in a couple times. It was eating eggs, but the chickens were mostly fine. Yeah. The bigger issue we had is that Roberto Jr., who is the son of Roberto, obviously, and he's in charge. His mom died. She had ovarian cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, nothing we could do about it. We just didn't know that. She just had cancer. We didn't see any signs. She died. Then we got to the vet, got it checked, and they were like, "There's nothing you could have done. It just happens."
Yeah.
Sad story.
I think you're burnt. How you're saying sometimes you get so frustrated that you want to burn the barn down. A lot of people are feeling that like sociologically, like they're so frustrated with the system and a lack of hope that they say burn it all down. But like then you get a chance. Hopefully, you get a chance to remember how awesome it is to be alive and this experience of love and pleasure and like learning and protecting other life, and you're reminded that it's worth keeping around.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out. and we'll see you all next time.